Look, I haven't made a YouTube video in over 2 years, but I feel so passionately about Superman that I feel like I had to make a video on it.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
So, James Gunn's Superman feels like the sequel to a film that's never existed. It's unfortunately a jumbled mess of ideas, and it just has a bunch of underdeveloped characters and an overstuffed plot. I'll preface this by saying I really did enjoy the first 20 minutes or so of the film, but eventually it just starts to go off the rails and it really lost the plot. See, one of my biggest problems with Superman is that it feels like it's racing from scene to scene. It's not giving any of the characters time to show their emotion, but rather Gunn opts for characters to simply state how they feel, with little to no subtlety. See, when it comes to emotion and characters, I'm a strong believer that sometimes less is more. And when you're just constantly having characters to describe how they feel and their motivations for everything, it kind of just lacks any nuance. One thing I actually will give Gunn credit for in this film is not forcing his signature humor style into it.
It's your mom!
A lot of it actually felt contained and didn't pull away from the scenes, which is one of the problems I had with pretty much all of his other films. You see, I went into this film really wanting to like it, I did. I went in with the hype, believing that Superman will make us feel the hope and optimism we're missing in this world. But instead, I just left feeling unmoved. Superman's actions never invoked these emotions out of me. See, one of the examples, without giving spoilers away of this as well, was when Superman is talking to Lex at the end of the film. And the way Cornsweat portrays it might have been Gunn's direction, but it was like him yelling about how he's human and how he has emotions or whatever.
I get scared, but that is being human.
And from my perspective, I feel like that scene would have been more impactful if it was played more like Superman from the animated series with, that calm demeanor. I just can't get behind the yelling. And then, as for the supporting cast, everyone just kind of feels underdeveloped except for Lois. She gets a decent amount of screen time, but her relationship with Clark just doesn't really have any emotional impact to me. It just kind of feels unearned. I guess it's because maybe we're going into the film with them already having 3 months of dating experience, but everything just feels kind of quick and sudden. Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl don't really have anything to do or say the whole movie. They kind of just stand around and don't have any character to them. I don't particularly think they were needed in the film. Mr. Terrific is good. I like him. A little underdeveloped as well, but the bits that he did have were entertaining enough. The crew at the Daily Planet isn't any particularly better. None of them really have any sense of character. Like, Perry White has maybe 3 or 4 lines in the movie, and I'm pretty sure from memory they were all jokes. I don't want to go too much into Lex without spoilers, but I'm not a fan of the way Lex is portrayed. Nicholas Hoult was an actor I was really excited to see going into this. He was probably my most anticipated performance, but I wasn't particularly impressed, and I feel like that comes down to the way he was written.
Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn.
See, my preferred Lex is a more calm demeanor like Clancy Brown from the animated series, and I know that's something that we haven't really had in media for a while, I guess, because even Jesse Eisenberg's Lex was a bit of a crazy guy, and that's the weakest point of Batman v Superman as well, I think, is the portrayal of Lex. And it's one of Superman's biggest faults as well, I think. And then you get into Ultraman and the Engineer. They're not particularly interesting. They don't have much going on. You can't really talk about Ultraman without spoilers, but the Engineer, I'm not sure who the actress was, but I don't think she played the character particularly well. Every line of dialogue just felt like she was reading off a script and there wasn't any emotion going into it. Particularly in like the opening scene. Yeah, I couldn't get behind her. And then as for the visual style of the film, it's kind of non-existent. The film doesn't have a specific flair to it that makes you go like, holy shit. Everything just feels slightly off. It might be a bit mean, but I feel like the CGI kind of just looks straight out of an early 2000s action movie. Nothing feels real. Everything has got like a stiff feeling to it. Nothing that CGI really feels like something that can be touched by a real human. There's a bit in the trailer where, so it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer, there's like that green baby, and it just looks weird. And that's kind of just my spoiler-free thoughts. Maybe eventually I'll make a spoiler video where I get more in depth in my opinions. But, I'm going to end this with a quote from IndieWire, which I thought was interesting. "It's even harder to care if a man can fly when there isn't any gravity to the world around him." And that's a quote that kind of perfectly describes how I feel about the movie. I like David Cornsweet as Superman. He's good. But the world that he exists in is just flat and dull. Nothing particularly interesting happens. None of the characters are particularly written that well. I have hope that James Gunn's DC universe will grow going forward. I'm excited for Supergirl, mostly because of the creative team involved in it, and Clayface should be good as well. But I expected more from James Gunn. This is obviously James Gunn's weakest film, and I hope next time there's just more thought and care put into it. It felt like this movie was kind of just rushed. There could have been an extra 20 minutes of runtime to help flesh out the world and the characters within it. It kind of is giving Justice League vibes, where there was a 2-hour studio mandate runtime and just everything is in fast forward mode constantly. Would I say that this is worse than The Flash? Probably not. They're both not particularly good. I'd say it's better than Justice League, but it doesn't really make me feel anything. Overall, I'm giving the film a 4 out of 10.
It's your mom! It's your mom!